Yeah, I don't think any person who has left the island of Cuba likes Fidel and or Raul or Diaz-Canel. The reality is Cuba is a dictatorship and people do not have any freedom whatsoever. Well, I am Cuban. My parents are Cuban, and my parents left the island of Cuba my father 1969 and my mother in 71. So my father was a political prisoner in Cuba and escaped via Guantanamo, the naval base. So that is how we got here. And Zach, you are?
I am Mexican American. Before anybody is fooled, I get my last name from my father. He is Anglo American, but my mother's family comes from Chihuahua, the mountains of Chihuahua. Recently enough that my grandmother was literally born in a log cabin. I'm not talking about a wooden house in the mountains. I'm talking about like Abraham Lincoln style log cabin. That's where my grandmother was born in the year 1940 because while electricity was just barely getting installed in a lot of rural places in the United States during that decade, Mexico, a lot of places would be going without electricity for another 40 years. So literally 1940, my grandma was born in a log cabin in the mountains of Chihuahua. And eventually my grandparents came to the United States. There's a question on the screen. Do I like Fidel? Hell to the no. Fidel
I think that was for
Castro.
me, Zach. I'm going to say hell to the no to that one, too.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know
you're being
anybody.
Cuban American. I guess I could let you answer, but I got a different claim to Cuba.
Yeah, I don't think any person who has left the island of Cuba likes Fidel and or Raul or Diaz-Canel. The reality is Cuba is a dictatorship and people do not have any freedom whatsoever. You can't have a business, you can't prosper. Hell, you can't even grow your own food. So there's an extreme poverty in Cuba, and that's not going to change anytime soon, unfortunately. Years ago, we thought that with the death of Fidel, that things would change, and obviously that didn't happen. Raul took over, and now Raul Castro has stepped down, and Diaz-Canel is the head of the Cuban government, and nothing has
Diaz
changed.
Canel is he's the front man. Raul's retirement, he literally put some of his own relatives and then people that he developed to fill the positions that he used to fill, but it's still a requirement that they all got to go kiss Don Corleone's ring and consult with him and whatnot. So he's getting other people to do his paperwork. He is still the ruler of Cuba, except now that he has quote unquote abdicated, he has become more powerful than you can ever imagine. He hasn't actually stepped down. Another reason why we hate the Cuban regime is they are heavily oppressive against our Cuban libertarian brothers, and that is not okay.